So your character, Jonathan, is new. How does he fit into the story?
This is not like the traditional Prince Charming and
Tell
type.
by the hair.
Hey, yeah, the hair, right. He's kind of scruffy.
All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
It's too stressful, and frankly, I do not have the nerve.
What happens when a dream role turns into a nightmare? For Rachel Zegler, landing the part of Snow White was supposed to be the pinnacle of her young career, a golden opportunity that would catapult her into A-list stardom. This wasn't just any role, it was the chance to breathe new life into one of Disney's most iconic characters, reimagining Snow White for modern audiences while showcasing her vocal talent and acting range. But somewhere along the way, things went horribly wrong. Instead of becoming the celebrated breakout moment everyone expected, the live-action Snow White became a lightning rod for controversy, plagued by behind-the-scenes drama, skyrocketing tensions between cast members, and disastrous box office numbers. The film didn't just underperform, it imploded spectacularly, leaving both Disney and its stars scrambling to salvage what little remained of their reputations. How did this happen? Why did a project with so much potential unravel so quickly? Let's take a closer look at the chaos that unfolded, revealing how a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity turned into Hollywood's latest cautionary tale.
Who are you to say all of Andrew's scenes could get cut? Like, who are you?
Oh my God.
Here's what I told Bob. I said, I'm curious, Bob, don't you think messages like this is why Disney keeps having box office flops? Just listen to what she says. She just sounds bitter and angry. Go for it. That's how this thing works in the world. If you talk it's going to come back. I tell my kids.
Our rights are on the line, folks.
The right to buy Cosby
rights.
sweaters?
Minecraft in the United States in one weekend made more money than Snow White has made globally after 3 weekends.
This really is an overspending spree by Disney CEO Bob Iger, and nobody has anybody else to blame but Bob Iger himself. Everyone should blame Bob Iger. It's all his fault when it comes to the budget, the metrics involved in this budget for Snow White.
It wasn't merely a wave of negative reviews that sealed the fate of Snow White. Instead, it was an explosive leaked behind-the-scenes clip that sent shockwaves throughout Hollywood, exposing deep-seated tensions between Rachel Zegler and her co-star. In this candid footage, which has become the centerpiece of industry gossip, the co-star unleashes a torrent of grievances against Rachel, leaving little to the imagination about the toxic atmosphere on set. The monologue captures the co-star criticizing not only Rachel's social media activity, but also her political statements, both of which were perceived as divisive within the cast and crew. Furthermore, the co-star takes aim at the directorial choices championed by Rachel, suggesting they undermine the film's original vision and contributed to its downfall. This raw, unfiltered tirade confirmed long-standing rumors that had been circulating in whispers for months. Rumors of a working environment so toxic that personal agendas consistently overshadowed any semblance of artistic collaboration. The footage revealed just how deeply fractured the production had become, with tensions boiling over into open conflict. For many, the clip served as undeniable proof that the issues surrounding Snow White ran far deeper than mere creative differences, highlighting a fundamental breakdown in communication and trust among key players. It painted a grim picture of a project consumed by internal strife, where egos clashed and professional courtesy gave way to bitter resentment. Ultimately, the leaked video didn't just confirm suspicions, it amplified them, turning what might have remained a private feud into a public spectacle that would haunt the film's legacy indefinitely.
The fact that it's about the humanity and it's about nature as well, and it's a beautiful story about an amazing girl who wants to find the true self of hers.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. Like, I'm being so serious. I watched it once and then I went on the ride in Disney World, which was called Snow White's Scary Adventures. Doesn't sound like something a little kid would like. Was terrified of it. Never revisited Snow White again. So I watched it for the first time in probably 16, 17 years.
It wasn't just bad reviews that doomed Snow White. The film's downfall was compounded by a shocking revelation that sent shockwaves rippling through Hollywood, a leaked behind-the-scenes clip capturing Rachel Zegler's co-star in a moment of raw, unfiltered honesty. In this candid footage, the co-star unleashes a torrent of grievances against Rachel, painting a vivid picture of the tension brewing beneath the surface of the production. The criticisms levied aren't limited to mere creative differences. Instead, they delve deep into Rachel's social media activity, her outspoken political statements, and even the directorial choices she fervently championed during the filming process. Each point raised in the clip serves as evidence of what many had long suspected: a toxic working environment where personal agendas consistently overshadowed any semblance of artistic collaboration. The monologue, delivered with an intensity that leaves no room for misinterpretation, exposes the fractures within the cast and crew that were cleverly concealed from public view throughout the promotional period. It highlights how disagreements over Snow White's character development spiraled into something far more personal, with accusations flying about whose vision truly aligned with the spirit of the original tale. Furthermore, the co-star questions whether Rachel's eagerness to reshape the classic narrative into one reflecting modern values came at the expense of unity among the creative team. This stark contrast between their approaches not only fueled on-set tensions, but also seeped into every aspect of the production, creating an atmosphere so charged that it became impossible to ignore. For fans who initially tuned in hoping for a fresh take on a beloved story, the leaked clip offered a disheartening glimpse into the backstage drama that ultimately consumed the project. What started as whispers of discord grew louder with each passing day, until this explosive piece of evidence confirmed the worst fears of both insiders and casual observers alike. Now, with the authenticity of the footage undeniable, the world has been granted access to a side of the Snow White adaptation that Disney likely hoped would remain hidden forever.
It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about
she's gonna die.
true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Our rights are on the line, folks. Our reproductive rights.
Ugh.
Come on,
Go get Cheshire Cat.
go vote blue. And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. Thanks.
The original
Disney
cartoon
does.
came out in 1937,
What a
and very
timeline.
evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. So we
what a
didn't do
scene.
that this time.
You don't particularly see people who, look like me or are me playing roles like that. So it was definitely, when it got announced, it was a huge
You mean your guess is as
thing
good as mine
that was, like,
ethnicity?
trending on Twitter for days because all of the people were angry. It was this
people that we
awakening
need
of-
to educate, the people that we need to love into awareness.
love them in the right direction.
Yeah, because there's nothing more effective than 19-year-olds educating the rest of the voting public while yelling, "Okay, boomer."
When the film finally premiered, it became painfully clear that something had gone horribly wrong. Families, Disney's most loyal demographic and traditionally the backbone of its box office success, were conspicuously absent from theaters. Instead of filling seats with eager audiences, the theaters remained eerily quiet, a stark contrast to what industry insiders had anticipated. Box office numbers, which are often forgiving of even mediocre Disney releases due to the studio's unparalleled brand recognition and sentimental appeal, plummeted dramatically after just the first few days. This precipitous decline shocked analysts and executives alike, who had assumed that no matter how much pre-release controversy surrounded the film, the Disney name alone would be enough to guarantee at least a decent run. However, this was not a case of lukewarm reception or gradual fading interest. This was an immediate and catastrophic failure. Major theater chains, typically cautious about pulling high-profile films, took unprecedented action. Within days of the release, several large chains began quietly reducing showtimes, citing near-empty auditoriums during prime viewing hours. By the second week, some complexes had already removed Snow White from nearly all their screens, replacing it with more profitable offerings. By the third weekend, it was official. Major chains across the country had effectively yanked the movie from their schedules altogether. Such drastic measures were almost unheard of for a Disney title, especially one carrying such massive marketing momentum and brand prestige. The decision sent shockwaves through Hollywood, leaving Disney scrambling to contain the damage and salvage what little dignity remained. For a company that prides itself on delivering family-friendly escapism, the complete collapse of Snow White's theatrical run was nothing short of devastating. Executives, blindsided by the speed and severity of the failure, convened emergency meetings to address the crisis. Some pointed fingers at poor word of mouth, while others blamed the relentless stream of negative headlines surrounding the production. Regardless of the root cause, one thing was certain: the once reliable formula of adapting beloved animated classics into live-action blockbusters had suffered a critical blow. What started as a promising opportunity to reimagine a timeless tale ended in ignominy, serving as a grim reminder that even the strongest brands can falter when personal drama and public perception overshadow artistic merit. From the very beginning, it was clear that the Snow White adaptation would be more than just a cinematic retelling. It became a battleground for differing ideologies and creative visions. Reports suggest that the seeds of discord were planted long before the cameras even began rolling. Political disagreements, creative squabbles, and deeply held convictions clashed between Rachel Zegler and her co-star, creating an atmosphere of tension that only grew as production progressed. Early promotional interviews revealed Rachel's desire to reshape Snow White into a more empowered character, one who reflected contemporary values rather than adhering strictly to the 1937 original. For some, this vision was refreshing, a bold step forward in reimagining a timeless classic for modern audiences. They praised her ambition and hailed her efforts as a necessary update to align with today's societal norms. However, not everyone shared this enthusiasm. A significant portion of the fanbase dismissed her vision as unwarranted tampering with a beloved classic. To them, the essence of Snow White lay in its simplicity and charm, qualities they feared would be lost under the weight of revisionist ideals. These public comments quickly ignited fierce debates across social media platforms. Fans took sides, with some defending Rachel's right to bring her own perspective to the role while others accused her of disrespecting the legacy of the original film. The divide deepened when online campaigns emerged, urging fans to boycott the movie entirely. Critics argued that Disney had gone too far in trying to impose modern morality onto a story that needed no fixing. As these discussions gained momentum, they overshadowed any genuine curiosity about how the film might succeed on its own merits. Instead of anticipation for the final product, the conversation became dominated by political discourse and personal attacks, setting the stage for what would eventually become one of Hollywood's most infamous meltdowns. For Rachel Zegler, once celebrated as one of Hollywood's most promising young talents, the aftermath of Snow White has been nothing short of catastrophic. Those closest to her describe a woman deeply shaken, retreating into near-complete isolation as she grapples with the overwhelming wave of public criticism and private turmoil. Her initial excitement about reimagining Snow White, a character she believed deserved a modern, empowering narrative, quickly turned into a personal and professional nightmare. What began as a heartfelt desire to bring fresh relevance to a timeless tale ended up alienating vast segments of Disney's traditional fanbase. Many viewers, nostalgic for the original 1937 classic, perceived her comments about reshaping the story as dismissive or even disrespectful, further fueling the firestorm surrounding the film. Despite her undeniable talent, showcased in both her singing ability and acting prowess, the controversy now attached to her name looms large over any future opportunities. Industry insiders speculate that studio executives may hesitate before casting her in major productions, fearing the intense scrutiny and potential backlash her involvement could attract. For a rising star who had previously been lauded for her potential to headline major Disney franchises, this sudden shift is particularly jarring. Friends reveal that Rachel watched the leaked behind-the-scenes clip featuring her co-stars' scathing critique in stunned silence, feeling not only betrayed but also vindicated in some ways, yet ultimately overwhelmed by the realization that their working relationship had deteriorated so dramatically. The emotional toll on Rachel cannot be overstated. In interviews leading up to the film's release, she spoke passionately about her vision for Snow White, a princess uninterested in true love's kiss and instead focused on becoming a leader capable of guiding her kingdom. While some praised her ambition to inject contemporary values into a beloved fairy tale, others dismissed it as unnecessary tampering with perfection. This divide only widened as the production unfolded, turning what should have been a celebration of creativity into a battleground of ideologies. Now, locked away from the public eye, Rachel is left to process the collapse of what was supposed to be her crowning achievement, wondering whether her career can recover from such a high-profile disaster, or if the scars will linger far longer than anyone anticipated. This entire ordeal stands as a brutally harsh lesson for Disney, vividly illuminating the intricate and delicate balancing act required when attempting to adapt beloved classics for modern audiences. The company severely underestimated the potential backlash that would arise from reshaping Snow White, a character so deeply ingrained in cultural memory, into something markedly different. Critics and fans alike were not only resistant to changes in the narrative, but also felt that the moral lessons embedded within the original story were being tampered with unnecessarily. Moreover, Disney failed spectacularly in addressing the mounting tensions between its two leading stars, tensions that were evident even during the early stages of production. These unresolved conflicts festered throughout filming, ultimately spilling over into public view and overshadowing any artistic merit the film might have possessed. Internal documents obtained through various sources reportedly paint a chilling picture of a corporate environment utterly stunned by the project's implosion. Executives, caught off guard by the speed and ferocity with which the controversy unfolded, found themselves scrambling to assign blame rather than focusing on solutions. Pointing fingers at one another became commonplace, with some accusing marketing teams of overselling the film's modern aspects while others criticized production heads for ignoring clear warning signs of discord among the cast. This lack of cohesion within the studio's upper ranks further exacerbated the crisis, leaving Disney without a unified strategy to salvage the situation. For a studio once considered invincible, this meltdown serves as a sobering reminder that no brand, regardless of its prestige or history, is immune to catastrophic failure. Disney has long prided itself on its ability to seamlessly blend nostalgia with innovation, creating films that appeal across generations. However, Snow White shattered this illusion, exposing vulnerabilities in both creative decision-making and crisis management. What began as a promising endeavor, a chance to reimagine a timeless tale, ended as a cautionary tale about the perils of underestimating audience sentiment and allowing interpersonal disputes to spiral out of control. In the end, the disaster surrounding this adaptation forces Disney to reconsider its approach to live-action remakes, questioning whether such projects truly resonate with contemporary viewers or merely alienate them further. Some argue that the script itself was flawed from the outset, raising doubts about whether Disney should have rethought the entire direction of the film before moving forward with this particular cast. Critics point out that the story's modern reinterpretation, while ambitious, failed to resonate with a broad audience. Many felt that the core message and tone were inconsistent, leaving viewers unsure of what they were supposed to take away from the movie. This disconnect only added fuel to the fire as the production's external controversies began overshadowing its artistic merits. Others believe that more decisive intervention could have prevented the escalating feud between Rachel Zegler and her co-star. For instance, mandatory conflict resolution sessions or stricter PR strategies might have helped address tensions early on, rather than allowing them to fester unchecked. Had Disney implemented these measures, it's possible that the toxic atmosphere on set could have been mitigated, preserving the collaborative spirit necessary for such a high-profile project. However, instead of taking proactive steps, the studio allowed the tension to grow unchecked, transforming what could have been a cohesive and groundbreaking story into a media circus dominated by personal vendettas and public spats. As the dust begins to settle, questions linger regarding Disney's ability to recover its reputation as a purveyor of family-friendly escapism. The meltdown of Snow White has left an indelible mark on the company, exposing vulnerabilities in its approach to adapting beloved classics for contemporary audiences. While some see this incident as an anomaly, others view it as a warning sign, a clear indication that even Disney isn't immune to catastrophic failures when personal agendas overshadow artistic vision. Moreover, the way the controversy played out across social media highlights the dangers of underestimating the power of public discourse in shaping perceptions of a film. The situation also raises broader concerns about how studios manage star power and personal expression within their productions. In today's climate, where actors often engage openly with political and social issues, finding the right balance between authenticity and professionalism becomes crucial. If Disney hopes to restore confidence in its brand, it must learn from this experience and adopt a more nuanced approach to handling creative differences and potential conflicts among its talent. Only then can it hope to avoid similar meltdowns in the future and reclaim its status as a leader in family entertainment. The meltdown of Snow White raises far-reaching concerns about Disney's long-standing formula for transforming animated classics into live-action adaptations. For years, this strategy proved to be a reliable money-making machine, captivating new generations while honoring nostalgia. However, the disastrous reception of Snow White highlights just how precarious these ventures have become in today's hyper-connected world. When controversies overshadow the essence of the story, even the most iconic brands can falter. In an era where audiences are more skeptical and social media amplifies every misstep, studios face mounting pressure to strike a delicate balance between modernizing timeless tales and respecting fan expectations. For Rachel Zegler, the fallout from this debacle serves as a stark reminder of the immense human cost that accompanies high-profile failures. Once hailed as one of Hollywood's brightest rising talents, her dreams of catapulting into A-list prominence were derailed by forces beyond her control, or perhaps exacerbated by her own outspoken nature. The experience has left her emotionally shattered, retreating into isolation as she grapples with being publicly scrutinized and criticized on a global stage. Friends describe her as inconsolable, deeply affected by the weight of accusations and the relentless speculation surrounding her role in the film's collapse. Now, the question looms large. Will Rachel Zegler rise above this scandal, or will it forever define her career? While some supporters argue that she was unfairly scapegoated for systemic issues within the production, such as a potentially flawed script or inadequate oversight, others point to her willingness to wade into contentious topics as fuel for critics. Regardless of who bears ultimate responsibility, the psychological toll of such a public humiliation cannot be underestimated. Being lambasted by a fellow star in a leaked behind-the-scenes clip leaves lasting emotional scars, especially for a young actress still finding her footing in the cutthroat world of Hollywood. Moreover, the Snow White fiasco underscores a critical lesson for Disney and other major studios. No brand, no matter how iconic, is immune to catastrophic failure when personal agendas, political disagreements, and creative tensions collide. The chaos surrounding this adaptation serves as both a cautionary tale and a wake-up call for the industry at large. As studios continue to mine their archives for fresh takes on beloved stories, they must tread carefully, ensuring that artistic vision does not get lost amidst internal strife or external backlash. For Rachel Zegler, the next steps remain uncertain, but one thing is clear. This defining moment will shape not only her career trajectory, but also the future of Disney's ambitious live-action remake strategy. In the end, the meltdown of Snow White serves as a gripping and complex case study, illustrating just how swiftly a dream project can spiral into a full-blown nightmare. For Rachel Zegler, who once stood on the precipice of stardom, this was supposed to be the role that would cement her place among Hollywood's elite, a golden opportunity to showcase her talent and bring a beloved character to life in a fresh, modern way. Instead, it culminated in an emotionally devastating experience, leaving her career shrouded in uncertainty and her reputation tarnished by accusations of condescension toward fans of the original film. The weight of public scrutiny, coupled with a leaked behind-the-scenes clip exposing raw hostility from her co-star, has left her reeling, grappling not only with professional setbacks, but also deep personal turmoil. Meanwhile, Disney finds itself under intense scrutiny for its handling of the production's myriad issues. The studio, long regarded as a paragon of family-friendly entertainment, now faces questions about whether it adequately managed the interpersonal dynamics between its stars or properly anticipated the backlash against reshaping such a cherished classic. Critics argue that Disney underestimated both the fragility of its brand in today's hyperpolarized climate and in the potential consequences of allowing personal convictions to overshadow artistic collaboration. As whispers of internal infighting and finger-pointing among executives circulate, the company must decide how best to address the fiasco moving forward. Will it become a mere footnote in Disney's storied history, filed away alongside other minor missteps? Or will it serve as a pivotal wake-up call, prompting the studio to rethink its approach to live-action adaptations and the delicate balance required when blending contemporary values with timeless narratives? One thing is undeniable. The legacy of this ill-fated adaptation will endure, lingering in Hollywood's annals as a cautionary tale for years to come. It highlights the perils of high-profile productions where personal agendas, political disagreements, and creative squabbles threaten to overshadow even the most meticulously crafted storylines. For those involved, Rachel Zegler, her co-star, and countless crew members whose hard work went unrecognized, the fallout serves as a sobering reminder of the human cost inherent in these sprawling cinematic endeavors. Ultimately, the Snow White debacle stands as evidence that no amount of brand recognition or budgetary splendor can insulate a film from the destructive forces of unresolved conflict and unchecked controversy. As the dust begins to settle, one wonders if lessons learned here might foster more conscientious filmmaking practices in the future, or if this tragedy will simply fade into memory, another sensational chapter in the ever-evolving saga of Hollywood excess and ambition. For now, the story concludes with Rachel Zegler navigating a deeply personal crisis, her co-star retreating into strategic silence, and Disney reeling from a blow that few could have foreseen. The film limps toward its inevitable streaming release, burdened by a toxic reputation that seems beyond repair. And above all else, the leaked behind-the-scenes clip remains etched into public consciousness, forever coloring how people remember this ill-fated attempt to reimagine a fairy tale.